I always thought my boss's son, Ethan, was the kind of person you avoided if you wanted a peaceful day. Spoiled, entitled, always dressed in designer clothes, driving cars worth more than my yearly salary, the kind of young man who'd never had to worry about rent, groceries, or heartbreak. So when my boss asked me to give him a ride to the airport one morning because his own car was in the shop, I almost said number. But turning down your boss? That's career suicide. I pulled up outside their mansion at 6 a.m. Ethan came out, yawning, phone in hand. No good morning, no smiley, just a mumbled, "You're late," even though I was 10 minutes early. Great, this was going to be a long drive. The first half hour was silent, except for the sound of his fingers tapping on his phone. I kept my eyes on the road, sipping my lukewarm coffee, counting down the miles. Then, somewhere on the highway, he finally spoke. Not the small talk I expected, no questions about the weather or sports. Instead, he said quietly, almost to himself, "Do you think it's wrong to tell someone the truth if it destroys their family?" I glanced at him, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" I asked carefully. He stared out the window for a moment before answering. "I caught my dad cheating, again, this time a broken bar with my mom's best friend." His voice cracked just slightly, but enough for me to realize this wasn't some spoiled kid talking. This was a young man carrying something heavy. I didn't know what to say at first. I had my own history with infidelity, and my ex-husband's betrayal had torn my life apart years ago. I knew the scars left. "You're worried if you tell your mom, it'll destroy her," I said quietly. He nodded, eyes fixed on the passing trees. For the next hour, Ethan poured his heart out. How he'd always looked up to his dad, how he'd seen his parents as the perfect couple, how he'd been holding this secret for months because he couldn't bear the thought of breaking his mother's heart. It was strange seeing him like this. No arrogance, no phone, just a 22-year-old kid trying to navigate a problem no one should have to face. When we finally reached the airport, he sat there for a moment, not getting out. Then he looked at me and asked, "What would you do?" I took a deep breath. I'd tell her, not out of anger, but because she deserves to know the truth from someone who loves her. Secrets protect the wrong person. He nodded slowly, like he'd already made up his mind but just needed someone to say it out loud. "Thank you," he said quietly, and for the first time since I'd met him, he smiled, and not the smug, confident smile I was used to, but something softer. A week later, my boss came into work looking a broken bar different. Haggard, angry, the office buzzed with whispers. And then, I saw Ethan's mom stop by to drop off some papers. She looked tired, yes, but free. Later, Ethan sent me a text. I told her. She cried, but she thanked me. "We're closer now than we've ever been." That was the day I stopped seeing Ethan as my boss's spoiled son and started seeing him as a young man brave enough to do something most adults can't: face the truth, and stand by the people he loves. And it reminded me that sometimes, the people we judge the quickest are the ones fighting battles we can't see. The weeks after Ethan told his mom where broken bar complicated, I'd see him around the office sometimes, walking past his father with the tension you could feel in the air. My boss, his daughter, was quieter, less boastful, like someone who had his armor cracked. One afternoon, Ethan showed up at my desk. He wasn't there to see his father, he came straight to me. "I wanted to say thank you again," he said, leaning against the cubicle wall. "For what?" I asked. "For listening, for being honest. You didn't treat me like a kid who couldn't handle it. Everyone else either says it's not your business or tries to pretend it's not happening." I shrugged, but inside, it meant something. Sometimes the truth is the kindest thing we can give someone. He smiled faintly, then added, "Mom's been a broken bar different lately. She's sad, yeah, but she's also laughing more. She signed up for a pottery class. She hasn't done anything for herself in years. I think she's going to be okay." Hearing that hit me harder than I expected. I thought back to when I learned about my own ex-husband's betrayal, how broken I'd felt. I remembered the people who didn't tell me, who smiled in my face while knowing the truth. That silence had hurt more than the cheating itself. Ethan didn't just save his mother from Aaliyah, he gave her back her dignity. A few days later, I was leaving work when I noticed him waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car. He had 2 coffees in his hand. "Thought you could use this," He said, "Also a broken bar, my mom wants to meet you." That caught me off guard. Why? Because I told her you're the reason I found the courage to tell her. She calls you out, a stranger who saved my life without even knowing it. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened, and I just took the coffee, smiling through the lump in my chest. That weekend, I met her. She hugged me like we were old friends. She told me she was filing for divorce, not out of hate, but out of love for herself. And as I sat there, sipping coffee in her cozy kitchen, I realized something. A broken bar. We all make snap judgments. I'd written Ethan off as an arrogant rich kid, but when life tested him, he showed more bravery, loyalty, and compassion than most people twice his age. Sometimes, the people we underestimate the most are the ones capable of changing someone's life, maybe even saving it. And maybe broken bar, all it takes is one honest conversation in the quiet of a car to change the way you see someone forever.